Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Cory Cast. My guest today is my brother, Chris Smith. I'm sure everyone that knows him will agree that Chris has an infectious ability to spread positivity and good vibes. He constantly motivates me as well as many other people at Tai Chi to train hard but also have fun while doing so. Chris has been big into the hardcore straight edge scene for a long time, playing drums for many different bands. We went over his love for martial arts and music. I gotta say, Chris is a special guy, and I know I've said this before, but he really is the salt of the earth. One of the nicest dudes I know. I love this guy, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode. So now we're live. Chris, what the fuck is up, dude?
What's up?
What's cracking?
Just chilling.
Thanks for doing this, first of all.
Absolutely.
So we've been friends since when? Since you started training Muay Thai when?
Around 2012. I believe it was 2012 I started at Tai Chi.
Started at Tai. So what made you want to do martial arts?
A friend of mine that I was actually in a band with, Keith Allen.
Yep, Keith Allen.
Who sang for my band at the time. He was doing jiu-jitsu.
Go Ship?
Yes.
Yep.
He was doing jiu-jitsu and told me that I had to come check it out. And him and his girlfriend were doing fitness kickboxing too. So I went and checked out jiu-jitsu and went to a fitness kickboxing class with them. And after that, I was kind of just sold. It was fun.
Yeah, so it was a friend that got you into it, basically. Yeah. That's cool. Was there, why Muay Thai and not Jiu-Jitsu? Was there a different aspect? Was there just something that seemed more intriguing?
I actually really liked both. But at the time, we were doing band practice 2 days a week, or at least once a week, and it conflicted with the regular Jiu-Jitsu class. Or I would try to make, striking one day, Jiu-Jitsu another time, but then I ended up just liking striking more. So I kind of just stuck with that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Is there a fight that sticks out in your mind that kind of triggered, solidified you wanting to do Muay Thai more than Jiu-Jitsu? Because I know you love watching fights like I do.
I do like watching fights. The thing that made me want to try Muay Thai was the fitness kickboxing time ended, and the Muay Thai guys would come in right after into that same room. And I would always be like, man, these dudes look badass.
Right.
I got to check this out. And I kept wanting to check it out, but I didn't want to be the weirdo standing in the corner. Yeah. So I was like, I got to just check it out sometime. And I think I ended up just staying one day after fitness kickboxing, was like, I'll just see what they do and try it. Mm-hmm. And then I loved it. So I just stuck with it.
It's that first step, right?
Yeah.
It's I remember the first day that I did Muay Thai was because Mike got me, Spooch's got me into it. And him and Eric used to just beat me up all the time. And so I would watch fights. I was watching fights all the time with Mike and Eric. And for me, the fight that made me want to do Muay Thai was Anderson Silva versus Forrest Griffin.
That's
awesome.
That
was back in 2009. It was, I remember it being February, and I was going to be graduating. And I was like, from that fight on, I was like, Mike, I need to do Muay Thai. Yeah. I was like, this is what Muay Thai is. And I remember Mike being like, well, it's not really what Muay Thai is, but his striking's based on Muay Thai. I'm like, done, sold, I want to do it. Yeah, so it's for me, it was that one fight that solidified me wanting to do Muay Thai, which is cool because it's the last podcast I talked with Shauna about mindfulness. Yeah. So it has that link in it, which I never really thought of till I talked to her about. Because when you're in the moment and you're doing sparring, you're only thinking about what's going on.
Or you get punched in the face.
Yes. Especially there's just so many good people at Tai Chi. Yeah. Right? So when you are in class, now that you're an instructor, what motivates you to keep coming back? Because obviously after instructor level, there's Ajahn level, right?
Yep.
So what is it that you do to keep active and keep motivated to come?
I like to try to go in with a personal goal first. So I like to try to go to class with something in mind that I still feel like I need to work on. So even with instructing, I still feel like there's always something that I want to be better at, either faster, hit harder, be better with my combos, footwork. Like I'll always go to class with at least something in mind that I want to focus on. So that still intrigues me to be there, but also like breaking down stuff for other people is also fun, or like motivating other people like someone had else done for me. You know what I mean? So it makes me want to be there because I get that energy to give out, but also I get it back from people too. So it's like that give and take of, it makes me stoked to see other people stoked.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see people who like you got to see them on their first day.
Yeah.
And now people like Connor.
Yeah.
Connor's really like upped his game since when he first started.
Yep.
So it's cool watching that kind of progression.
Yeah.
Are there certain people you look to towards motivation to kind of keep going?
Well, you are an awesome training partner, so that's first.
My head's big enough, dude.
God, he's blushing.
Dude.
Kyle and James, they're always fun to train with because they'll always like push my pace, which a lot of people won't because I'm either a giant person or they don't want to hold pads. So it's rare for people to push back or like make me, challenge myself. So it's fun when like those kind of people are in class. And then even new people, I've had a good time with sparring new people because they don't quite have the refined technique that you're used to. So
something crazy could happen.
Yeah, like I find myself having a harder time with people that aren't as good because I don't know what to expect, or they don't even know what they're going to do. So sometimes it gets wilder.
Yeah.
So that can be more fun or challenging, at least. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's still fun for me I still always love being there.
Yeah, it's the I think back like in my parents' day or maybe my grandparents' day, church was the sense of community, right? That was where you kind of work in a factory, and then Sundays you get to see everybody at church. And I think now it's shifted where now it's martial arts gyms, or like I think a lot of people find community in like CrossFit gyms, or knitting club or a book club. I think there's different avenues.
It's almost like finding your place to be. Like that's where I feel the most comfortable being myself sometimes. Like I can go there on a great day and I can be the stoked motivator. I can go there when like work sucked and I can go
and
punch
get motivated,
things and like
right? Like you go there on a bad day. Yeah. People pump you up and get you motivated.
Yeah. So it's like it just feels right to be there most of the time,
Yeah. Do you have a favorite fighter that you like to either imitate or kind of like model some stuff that they do for your own?
I love John Wayne Parr because he's hilarious and because he's vicious. Like everything he throws is with like full intent. Him and Buakaw are my favorite to. I watch their highlight videos when I go to the gym and like sit on the
get you pumped.
Sit on something for cardio and just like watch their highlights to get stoked.
Yeah. Senchai and John Wayne Parr both share something in common. When they train, they're nothing but smiles and laughter. And I appreciate the hell out of somebody who's like that. You know what I mean? Like who, when they train, they're just giggling, they're having a good time. They're just like kind of even if like they get tagged with something, they'll show a video where they get swept and then they stand up, they're like, haha, and they show courtesy. They touch gloves and then
still having fun.
They're right back at it. And that's what I respect. And they're both 40. Yeah. Let's be honest. They're 40, still doing Muay Thai, right?
They're over the age of having to like look tough. Look like the hard ass in the gym that's like trying to be there to be like, I'm the guy.
Yeah, right, 100%.
It's like, no, they are the guy, they're having fun.
Yeah, right. And I think that's the best part about Muay Thai for me is that it's more, now it's like when you're an instructor, it's more for me about just having fun, and my focus has shifted now towards other people, I guess. It's like I used to get satisfaction in getting to the next belt rank, but now that we're pretty much already there, it's like I've tried to shift my focus and be like, well, I find comfort in knowing that I get to improve so-and-so's game. Yeah. Like it's almost like the perspective switched.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you got to remind yourself that you gotta have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like that's why I like when I teach on Fridays, I really try hard to try to make it fun. That's why we put like I have Lizzo in my playlist. Like people just start giggling and laughing. Like I want that kind of energy because I think that brings out the best in people, and also I want them to come back next week. I want them to show that it is a party, right? You got me saying party time because of you.
Feels right.
Right. You, and that's what I like about you. You always like have a positive spin on things. Where did you always kind of have that perspective on things, or
not really? Like with training, I think has done the best for me as far as positivity because I've always had it as an outlet. Like on good days or bad days, like you still have that same place that you can go, and it always would end up being like my happy place, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if work was annoying, I could go there. Or if like anything in life happens, you go and you get to like unleash and let it all out there. And I always left happy. And then I'd always meet people that I was like, this is awesome. Like I love being here. Like even if I had a crappy day and I'd go in there and you'd be like, what's up, dude? Mm-hmm. And then I'd be stoked to be there because you had a good attitude. And then I'd be pumped to be there. Yeah. And then, and then when I'm there all week, having that outlet, I feel great all week. So now,
isn't it weird when you don't train for like a week? I feel like
miserable.
I'm a different person.
I
feel like I'm so like someone says something, I'm like shut up, leave me alone. Like I snap at people when I don't train for a while.
Yeah, it feels good to have that outlet all the time, and it's there whenever you want it. You know what I mean? So it's like I try to be there as much as I can, as consistent as I can, because I know it's good for me, and I know that's what keeps my head level, you know?
Yeah.
So it's my outlet that I know that I need, so I try to use it as, it's like medicinal. Like, you got to be there to know that you're going to be cool all week, you know?
Right. It's a just a practice.
Yeah.
It helps you. I don't think many people get any forms of aggression nowadays, right? Like, I don't think anybody's... I know that when I was working in retail, it was probably the most stressful times I would have when I was managing the store. You have so many moving parts and you have so many people that you're basically, when you're a store manager, you don't run a store. You kind of just put out fires and control people's emotions and drama towards each other, right? So then you bottle their emotion up, and then it was always, for me, it was nice to go to Tai Chi and do Jiu-Jitsu or Muay Thai and kind of get that release out. You know what I mean? It was kind of like a way for me to be like, And maybe I would have a hard time getting to Tai Chi. Like, I remember there's people we train with who still are like, man, I don't know if I want to go today. I'm having a hard time with motivation. But those are the days that I never regret going in there. So if I can get myself in through the door, and then I see Dennis's smiling face giving me a hug when I walk through the door, then it's like, oh man, life's good. Life's good. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool. So what's your favorite, do you have like a favorite technique or go-to thing that you like to teach? Like what's like one unit, either it's like boxing or a certain combination or kickboxing, something that you really love teaching?
I love seeing people get the kick. Like, the kick for me is my favorite versus any other technique. But when I can help someone else refine their kick a little bit and see when someone's holding pads and you get that perfect pocket where, like, you thump someone and you can see the pad holder, like, falls back, or you're like, oh, that's the one. Like, you knock their wind out, and then it's
the
like,
kicker
that gets me stoked.
To kind of poop a little bit.
And, like, when you find it where they're throwing the kick and it feels kind of weak to them, and then you fix it, and then they feel powerful, and you can see their confidence shift, not just in their kick, but like in their own abilities. Like, not just the kick, but you can see that they're like, I can do that too. Or like if they see you or me hitting pads hard and going fast, and they're like, I can't get there yet, you know what I mean? And then you help them get there, or you show them like one little detail that helps them get that kick, and you're like, that's the one, and it gets me so stoked.
It's good to see.
Because that's my favorite thing. So when other people do it too, and they're like, they feel what I feel, I'm like, I'm pumped too.
You kind of, again, going back to feeding off the energy, right? That's kind of what that class is all about. It's just feeding off each other's energy. Out of all the seminars you've done, is there somebody that you feel like you learned the most or you took away the biggest thing from?
From teaching or taking?
Just going to a seminar.
Honestly, Sifu, Kevin Seaman, anytime I've gone to his workshops, I still learn something new every time I go, and it's awesome to see other people get to have what we have on a daily basis. So like we have it good because we get to train with them all the time. So like going to a workshop or a seminar somewhere else where they get to see things that we do, like warm up the kick, is like, whoa, that's so smart. Why didn't we think of shielding the foot? Like as something as little as that other people don't have all the time is cool for me. And I know I refine my own technique better every time I've gone to something like that. And that's always been fun for me. And I've traveled a few times and gotten to go to a couple different ones, and every time it's still like, this is awesome. I get stoked on it all over again. Yeah,
it's cool because like when you do one of those seminars, whether it be Sifu Kevin's or I don't know, even Ajahn Chai and Greg Nelson, or it doesn't matter who we got Phil Migorese coming up this weekend, and it's almost like it lights a fire inside of you, right? When you get back from a seminar, you're like, man, I kind of want to use what we learned in that seminar, because it's like a motivating thing. It's like, man, you get kind of fired up about stuff. Right? I'll never forget like when I took Greg Nelson's seminar. It changed my uppercut game 100%, tenfold, because he just said the one thing that resonated with me the most. Like I know. And Sifu said it to me many times. Like when you throw your uppercut, you ride the back of your hand up their stomach to their chest. Boom, you find their chin. If you aim for the chin, it can kind of hook in. And he said it to me 100 times. But maybe it's just the change in setting and the change in tone or person or what that kind of makes it click differently. It's kind of weird how that happens, because you can walk away from an Ajahn Chai seminar, and even though Sifu's ingrained it in our head 100 times, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start kicking my hands up. You know what I mean?
So someone else yells it at you.
Right. Maybe, I don't know. I think it's just I think people have like different languages almost when they teach, right? Because it's different.
And I think for me, like going to another school where you have a different set of eyeballs on you, where you know people look at you, or even when you're doing a technique that you've done a million times, but you're under different eyeballs, like you might focus more on a detail that you never did before. You're just kind of like almost like complacent, because we do it all the time. So redoing, you know, techniques over and over again. But having like just that one little detail or one thing where you're like, oh yeah, I have to do this better. Or, you know, other people are watching you that are like, oh, how's he doing it? You know?
You kind of pick up different stuff too. When you get to travel and go to different schools. That's what I like about traveling too. You get to, especially, you know, Muay Thai I've done a couple times, but I think I've traveled and gone to different jiu-jitsu schools more. So it's cool seeing what the standard is for different schools.
Oh, absolutely.
And what different like go-to routines and in series schools have, and even like you could even do classes. Like Joe's class might have a different flow than somebody else. You know what I mean? So like every person's got a different flow and routine to everything, which is kind of cool. I know you lost a ton of weight. Was that doing part of Muay Thai, or was Muay Thai kind of like the gas to the fire? Like the fire was already started and just kind of made it roll downhill even more?
So I was really heavy in high school. The heaviest I remember weighing was 315, which is crazy now.
I've seen old pictures of you, dude.
It's so
you
weird.
are a different human. It's crazy.
That was in high school. So like after high school, I got a labor job and I was working overnight. So I started losing weight because I was just doing physical stuff I had never done before. And I did that for a year, and I ended up like getting a lot of weight moving, and I started to go to the gym with some friends, and I was like motivated to start working out because stuff actually started to happen, you know what I mean? So I finally like got movement or momentum, or realized how much weight I had actually put on. So once I started losing weight, it felt awesome, and I really enjoyed the gym because that was my outlet at the time. So it ended up cutting down almost 50 pounds just going to the gym and working overnights, doing labor. And then
so you were losing weight when you started Muay Thai, and then that kind of like Muay Thai was just the gas on the fire.
Yeah, I got like a big plateau with the gym. So I was kind of stuck at that, like, I was like around 255-ish, I think, when I started Tai Chi, and I was like getting bored with the gym, just didn't really have fun with it anymore, just kind of doing like the same things over and over again and plateaued. So that's why I was interested when Keith asked to go. I was like, this sounds like something fun to do, different. Right. And then when I went, I remember the first class I ever did was fitness kickboxing, and I was like, I left and I was like, I think I'm gonna puke in the parking lot. I was like, I never would push myself that hard at the gym to want to barf.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I came here and I had a friggin' awesome time, and I felt like that was the hardest I'd ever been pushed. So I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And then I just kept going back, and then did jiu-jitsu. I did a little bit of boxing, and then it started to come off like, 5-10 pounds at a time over time. And I know, like, when we did our fights, I was around 230, and that gave me the first real goal to ever like cut to a certain number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I never really had
230.
210.
210.
So I was 230 when
Team
they
American
announced
all
the fight,
body, bro.
Yeah, weight cut like a muff. So I was 230-ish when they announced the fights, and then ended up cutting to 209. I weighed in that day. So that was the first time I ever had like a number that I was like, I have to reach this number or I can't fight.
Right.
So that was the first time I had really had a serious number in mind ever, where I had to reach one thing. Where before I was just like, I wanted to keep losing weight because it felt awesome, and like buying smaller clothes felt awesome from being
like that was a reward enough.
Yeah.
But now you have a number or something to go after.
And I never really had that before, like nothing in mind, So I just kind of was like, losing weight was cool, like feeling great, working out was cool, but never had a real goal until the fights. And then having that goal and then finally getting to it and then doing those fights was like the ultimate payoff for all that,
Right. So what did you do to drop the 210? What are you at right now?
220s.
Okay.
Hovering a little husky for my size. Like 215's my ideal weight of comfort. Like I feel wicked lean, but fast enough, strong enough at that weight where I feel good, Yeah. So for my frame, that feels right for me. 210 was a little tough.
Was that a hard cut?
Only because we only had like around a month-ish, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, it was like 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
So it was like
or something.
Around a month to lose that much weight. So I just started cutting out all the garbage, and I did a ton of cardio, and then I did a little bit of a water cut, which I didn't even know what I was doing at the time. So I was just like, figure it out.
Dehydrated. You're like, I've been drinking 3 days.
I'll Google it.
You
This
can't
will
even
work.
spit into a cup.
Yeah. And then I ended up weighing just the right amount for that, and then so that worked for the fight. But
what kind of relief that must have been, right? When you finally got on the scale and it was like, 210 finally, right?
And the day before, I remember I was 215 when I got to the hotel, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to tell Sifu I didn't make weight.
Yeah, right.
I was like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, 100%.
So I went down, and I actually got on an elliptical and just with a hoodie and sweat a bunch. And I was like, I'm not going to drink anything, eat anything. And then I woke up the next morning at 210 on the nose. So then
didn't eat anything that day?
No, not until weigh-ins.
Nope. Then weigh-ins happened, and
then
I
was a pound under, and I was like, give me some water.
And then we all decided that it would be a good idea to eat Moe's right
Worst
before
idea
our
of my
fight.
life. And then I was like, I'm starving. Let's get burritos and chips.
Oh my god, dude, that was so funny. I remember we were in line, and then Brad's eating sardines out of a can. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
and
oysters.
Oysters, yeah.
He's like, these are great for testosterone. And I was like, that's terrifying.
You're like, yeah, right, nerd. I'm eating this huge ass burrito.
Yeah, I can't wait to throw up later.
Yeah. I remember after eating at Moe's, the second I finished my meal, I was like, why did we do that?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, we got to fight in 4 hours. Why did we do that?
And usually people weigh in the day before, and then
we weighed the day up. Right?
Yeah, so that was so weird for us because we had never had to do that. So
Yeah.
for me, I didn't know any better. I was just like, yeah, we got to eat, so let's just go get food.
Right. You're like, I don't care. I weigh 209.
Yeah, we fight in 6 hours. We're good. Want to get
2
some
home
extra
wreckers,
chips?
please, for one person.
How much queso you got in there? I'm starving.
Right, during the fight, you're just sweating cheese.
Oh, that is awful.
Well, how did you feel leading up to the fight, right? Because were you on, like, the card was split in half, right? So
yeah.
I think I was the first fight after the break,
yeah.
right? So it was us first, and then were you after me? You were a couple fights after, right?
I was the 10th of 12 fights because we were the only heavyweights.
Right.
So,
and it was a slugfest.
So being the only big boys on the card, we went late. So, and I didn't know that either. So, like, eating that early, eating the Moe's, which was not amazing, and then being like, I don't actually know the real time frame when we're gonna fight. So, like, should I eat again later? Should I just, like, chill?
Should you not eat?
And then, so it was the first time it was a big learning experience to know, like, what to do, you know?
Yeah, and especially, bro, I did zero research on what I should be doing beforehand. I'm just like, ate Moe's, I feel okay, I'm drinking water, I'm, like, shadow boxing after, I'm like, I remember the fights went kind of late, and I remember being starving, but I couldn't tell if it was nerves or if it was starvation.
Yeah.
But so that moment for you, was there a moment in the fight that sticks out when you had your first fight that you were like, oh my God, this is real, this is happening?
As soon as I got punched in the face.
Yeah, right.
I was like, this is not time sparring. Like, holy crap, that was so fast. And then instantly being like, I am not protecting my head as well as I think. And, like, for me, I wear contacts, so I couldn't wear contacts there. So it was blurry and noisy and so fast. It was like sensory overload. You know what I mean? So I was like,
everybody's screaming at you. Everybody's yelling, Chris, go, Chris.
And then you're wearing a stupid padded helmet, and you're like, you can't hear anything. It's 100 degrees.
The worst.
So I tried to remember to listen for Dennis.
Yeah.
And just being like, all I can hear is screaming. It just sounded like you're in a gymnasium anyway, but just being like, there's no way I can focus on, like, one voice while I'm trying to not get punched in the face.
It's whenever we talk about that, I always have this go-to story that because we have the fights recorded and they mic'd up Dennis. I remember this moment in the fight because Dennis was saying, throw a right kick and I want you to follow with a hook, right? So because he was dropping his hands, he would shield and he was dropping his hands. So I remember in the fight, I threw a switch kick and a hook, and whatever I thought was a hook.
Yeah.
And I remember at that moment saying in my head, hell yeah, this is going great. I remember I'm doing everything Dennis wants me to do. And then when Kearns put the video together and put it out, I'm watching it, and I'm like, I'm not even doing what Dennis is saying. And he told me to throw a cross, and here I am. I'm like in law picking daisies in the fucking corner.
I hate watching it now because Dennis was also mic'd up for me, and he's yelling to keep my hands up. And at the time, like, you're wearing headgear, so you can't feel where your hands are. Yeah. And I thought my hands were up until I started getting cracked in the face, and then he's like, put your hands up, put your hands up. He's not listening. That's my favorite part of the whole thing is he's just like, he's not listening at all. Right. So watching it now is like, it's painful because it's like, oh, yikes.
Do you get nervous when you watch it?
No, you know what's funny is I actually still watch it when I'm at the gym or if I'm doing cardio and I need some sort of motivation. Like, it still gives me chills, but I also hate watching it because it's so bad. Now
you don't even think that's you.
No, it's weird. Right? It's like watching, you're watching yourself and you're like, what are you doing? You're not guarding anything, you're not shielding, you're not moving. Like, I was reaching for everything, and like in the day-to-day training now, like, I would never do those things, but it was also 4 years ago or almost 5 years ago, which is weird to think about now.
Right, because you're a totally different person and a different fighter than you were when you did that,
and even after that, I was like, I have a lot to work on before I would ever want to do that again. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, that was a good experience for me to say, like, where do I have gaps, but what did I do well? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where that was kind of hard at that time. Like, same thing. Like, I didn't really have a goal other than, like, I was like, I want to fight and test myself. But I didn't have anything in particular that I needed to work on or knew that I needed to work on until that fight. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I need to work on my defense.
It's kind of funny how in the moment those things just fall apart. Right? Like, you think, I remember with that, how long were those fights? 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Almost 5 years ago now.
Bro, I remember going on a fight so cocky, like, bro, I got this. I've been training since 2009. I got this. Blah, 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 blah. And it's the second you get hit, you're like,
this is different.
Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
He hits really hard.
And I remember we did a lot of hard pads and a lot of like time sparring, but nothing ever like, we weren't smashing each other around, to get ready like that. Mm-hmm. And then he came out through a huge kick and I shielded just like subconsciously, it just kind of happened. And then he blasted me and I was just like, holy crap, I have to get my hands up, or I have to like be on offense but also protect myself. And I definitely wasn't ready for that pace, which was also funny because I remember someone else fought right before me and like our whole team was out watching, and I was in the locker room and I'm like, guys, where is everybody? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? Should I be warming up? And then I remember Mike Spooches came back and was like, hey, you ready? And I'm like, no. I was like, what am I like right now? And he's like, we should get you on pads. And I was like, oh man, this is happening.
Yeah, right.
I was like,
is this really happening? Oh my god.
I'm like, I'm not even close to warmed up. I was just sitting.
I know. I gotta say, man, I love Mike has been in my corner for every one of my fights, and to have somebody that's like even just having like a familiar body. Like, I know you're really good friends with Kyle.
Yeah.
So like having Kyle in your corner, I don't know what it is. It's like I had my coach, which was either Dennis or Seifu, and then I had my best friend Mike in my corner, just not only because like he had this uncanny ability to kind of like bring me back to the moment almost, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But also just to kind of have somebody that you really admire support you is kind of cool. And I think Mike did a great job when he was cornering those first fights, because he was like, all right, who's next? You guys need pads? Let me go get my pads.
Dude,
I'll start with
I will honestly say I didn't know him that well then. I only knew him from class, really, and like he was so calming and like pulled me back in immediately. It was like, let's just put you right on pads. And then as soon as I started hitting pads, he's like, I don't want to get hit by that.
Yeah.
And like boosted my confidence a little bit, but knew how to, he like chilled me out to where I didn't stress out.
Yeah.
But also like brought me right into like, we're getting you ready. Like, you're going out there and we're going to do this kind of thing where, and it was awesome because I didn't really know him that well at the time, but he crushed it.
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah.
And then Dennis came in right before we were going to go out, and like we ran a couple things on pads real quick, and then it was like go time. I was like, holy crap, this is happening.
It happens so fast.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a snowball effect. You're like, oh my god. And you're like, oh my god, I'm 3 fights out. Oh my god, I'm warming up.
Yeah.
And oh my god, now the next fight.
From Moe's to fight was a weird time frame. It was the longest and shortest time of my life.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. From Moe's to fight. So we just got, oh man, that's so funny. So shifting gears, because I know you're big into the music scene, and I know you've been in how many bands?
Oh man, from when I first started playing music, probably I'd say around 10.
10 years old?
No, 10 different bands. Probably.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I was thinking age, and I know I asked the question how many bands you've been in.
Yeah.
So 10 different bands.
Yeah, probably around 10 different bands, because I've either filled in for bands, or some bands were not as long, around as others. But
when did you get into like going to the shows and the whole, because you're like the hardcore scene's like a big part of your life, and that's the part about you I don't even know that much.
Yeah.
Like, other than like maybe we ran into each other at one show in our life total, everything else has been Muay Thai related.
Yeah.
So this, like, what I really want to do with this podcast was be able to talk about what the music meant to you, because I don't even know that aspect of your life.
So I first started going to shows when I was around 16, 17.
Who was like the ones that got you out to go?
I hung out with a couple kids that played in other bands, but one kid actually showed me a band called Hatebreed. The summer, I remember that it was the summer of 9th to 10th grade. And I was playing drums. Like, I started playing drums when I was 16. My parents got me my first drum set, and
That's beautiful.
Always wanted to play drums. Like, thought it would be cool, and they got me drums for Christmas one year, and I started to just like try and play along to stuff. I never did lessons. I just tried to play whatever I liked, you know what I mean, at the time. So a lot of really simple Metallica beats that aren't complicated anyway. But I was like, I can handle this. But you know, I started getting into like that kind of music, or like Pantera. So I always liked heavier music that had that like aggression kind of, or like the heavy distorted guitars always made me feel good. You know what I mean? It just felt awesome.
Get you pumped up.
Yeah. So when I first heard Hatebreed, I didn't even know that kind of music existed, or anything that heavy, and I didn't know that there was even shows. You know what I mean? Like you knew bands played, but I always thought of bands or concerts as like these huge things. You know,
huge event.
Yeah, like I remember when I was younger, like K-Rockathons were like the big thing and that was the only music that I knew of that was like heavy music. I was like, hell yeah, Papa Roach.
Hell yeah, Papa Roach. Hell yeah, Breaking Benjamin.
You trying to go watch these dudes slam?
Yeah, right.
Like that was the heavy music back then that I knew of. I didn't even know like hardcore music existed, you know, until like that. And a couple friends of mine played in bands in high school, or it was like junior high-ish that time. That's where like I met James Strandell actually. And he was in a band, and I started playing with a couple friends from CNS, and we were all in high school together. We all started playing music, and like kind of started finding out that there was even smaller concerts or shows, you know. So there's a couple good venues in Syracuse, and I remember going to some little shows of like high school bands, and like getting to see like Kyle was actually in a band at CNS like 2 years before me, and they would do like Battle of the Bands, you know, and then like there'd be high school bands there, and it would be like a ska band, and then like holy crap, there's these crazy dudes whipping guitars around like playing this crazy music, and I was like, this is awesome.
This is sweet. Right.
So like I'd run into people like that, and then you'd start to find out like, oh, there's a show this weekend, because at that time the internet wasn't.
And that was what I was going to say next, was so there was no Facebook, Spotify, MySpace,
not even yet.
So not even MySpace.
So I remember you'd find out about a show from word of mouth, or someone would say like, hey, my band's playing this weekend, like come check it out, you know. And then after getting into like playing with the kids I was playing with, my singer at the time, Mike Lepore's brother, was like putting on shows and like involved in shows. So Mike would let me know like when there were shows, or like another friend of mine would let me know, and it would always be like this little web of people that all knew each other through other people, and you'd only know by like word of mouth or a flyer. Like you wouldn't find out on Facebook like this event's happening this weekend. It was kind of
Chris
like
Smith invited you to the Hatebreed
it was
Festival.
almost like an intimate invite. Like it was only people there that kind of knew each other. Like you really didn't have like a lot of outsiders, you know. You'd go to a show, there'd be a couple hundred people, and like somehow everybody would know each other, and
interesting. Like
it made you feel welcome, because you were almost like, it was almost like invite only, you know. Like you felt welcome there because someone wanted you to be there. You didn't just show up on your own like, this will be cool to check out, you know. So I remember that being like a good thing for me when I was younger, because like I said in high school, like I was a big dude, and like my self-esteem wasn't amazing, and
so it was like perfect for the kids who didn't really feel like they fit in. Almost,
and for me, like I wasn't playing sports to like have that team mentality or like atmosphere, you know. I wasn't like a super popular kid to know everybody, but I knew some people from each kind of area. Like I had my best friend in high school was a football player, and he would introduce me to all of his football friends, and was like always such a good dude that always like had my back if like anybody would pick on me, but I wasn't a football player, you know what I mean? And then I would know people in the music scene from playing drums and playing in bands, and they were always like good people to me. And then I would know like random thug kids, and I'm like, I don't know how this works, but like I was always nice to other people, and you know, I'd know people from different areas, but like I always felt the most at home with like the hardcore kids, or like you know, going to shows like that, and the energy and atmosphere was like nothing I had ever seen before, you know. Like
when I was in school, I didn't really fit in with many people either, so I knew like, and when you would go to a show, everybody's enjoying a common thing. Nobody cared what color skin you were, what you were wearing. I mean, there were some catty people that would sit in the corner and be like, oh, this kid's weird, but that's not the focus of the show. The focus is you're here to watch I'm trying to think. Like we really would like. I would go see 4 Year Strong.
Yeah.
Like any pop punk bands. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So Set Your Goals, or we're all here just enjoying the music, and for people who are kind of. I mean, I didn't really have a ton of friends in high school. I had spooches.
Yeah.
I had spooches, and my friend Bob, and I could think of probably enough to count on 2 hands.
Yeah.
Was my total group of friends. So when you'd go to a show, you'd get to kind of relate with all these other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we were all under that like the one common goal. Were you always in hardcore bands, or were you like in a ska band?
So the first music I played was kind of like that hard rocky kind of stuff, like just to figure out how to play drums.
Right.
So.
And it's always been drums, right?
Yeah.
It's never been anything else.
I dabbled.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
So
I dabbled.
So only hardcore bands. You were just saying you played in a polka ska band.
God, I wish. That'd be so cool. True story. I did play trumpet. Off story.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It's embarrassing. Anyway, we'll get off that. Pretty much always either metal or hardcore bands. That's pretty much it. It's always been my style to play that like aggressive music. I never. I enjoy playing drums to just play drums, but it never like kept me as interested as it was like I was like I just want to smash drums and have that like big energy. Like that's why I feel alive. You know what I mean? It's like someone plugs my charger in and I'm like freaking electric. You know? Right. I just like that's where I felt the most at home, and it was weird. I never got super nervous playing shows. Even big shows, like when I was in high school, we would play all sorts of stuff. Like
you played like a festival, right? Was the I Matter festival? Was that a big festival?
Yeah,
I'm so ignorant with all this crap.
Of the biggest shows I've played because it's a free festival and it's awesome. They put it on every year. It's free. Yeah, you could literally just walk in, and they book bands of all different calibers, like smaller local bands that hustle all year to like huge touring bands that make you want to be there, and there ends up being thousands of people there that come just because it's free, like why wouldn't you go?
What's like one of the biggest places you played for?
Like
you probably don't know a head count, but maybe like
I know around when we played, the promoter told us it was around 2,500 at that show, and that was huge. Like you look out and you're just like, this is so cool. Like you see a sea of people all having fun, and like nobody even cares who you are. They're just like, this is free and awesome. You guys are having fun.
Right. Were you wicked nervous playing a group like that?
Not at that time, because by then I had already played. I've been playing shows for so long. Like I didn't really worry about it anymore. Like that's where I start to feel like as soon as the guitars start ringing out, I'm like, this is my zone. Like I'm here. Like nothing else matters other than like what I'm doing right now. It's like it puts me in that hot spot where I'm like, I'm on. Like nothing else matters in the world. Kind of like with training. Like when you're there, you said like you got to be present in that moment where when you're sparring, you can't be focusing on like, oh, I got to do this tonight or you'll get caught. Like same thing with music. You can't be thinking about other stuff or you're gonna forget what you're playing and make yourself look like a goof.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Mess up something.
Yep.
Is there like a show that sticks out the most other than I Matter? Was I Matter like the best favorite show you've played? Or
that show was one of my favorites just because the crowd and energy, and like we had a lot of friends come, and the sound, the stage, like the whole presentation, like everything about that fest it's great. It's spot on. You know what I mean? Like that was a lot of fun. And then there's a festival in Philly every year called This Is Hardcore. Yeah. That was one of the other shows that was like one of the bigger shows, and it was that was like one of the most fun shows I played too, because it's the same thing. Like a ton of our friends came down and like got wild for it and had fun, and it was just like it felt awesome to play. Yeah. Was there? You've played how many? So 10 different bands, you said, right? If I had to count, probably at least. Wow. Is there? I don't know. Is there like a band you had the most fun with, or like the best experiences with? And maybe you don't want to like rank them in a certain order. Ghost Ship I had the most fun with because we had like that was you built something really. That cool. was great times. Yeah, like we traveled a lot, so we got to see and meet a lot of different people, and like I met some of the best people that I'm still friends with from that band, right? That like I'll still stay in contact with them, and like that's how I know them, from and Ghost Ship also
even if you're not in the hardcore scene, you think straight edge hardcore, you associate that with Ghost Ship. Like
That's
I remember, because when I was in high school, was 2009, we knew who Ghost Ship was because we were straight edge kids and we enjoyed the shit out of your music because it was like it meant something to us at that time.
And it was wild hard for me.
Yeah, it's wild, right? Do you still have people coming up to you saying like, "Hey, I remember, did you play Ghost Ship?"
Yeah,
Like,
and I'll see people with like a shirt on at a show now, and I'm like, that's so weird but so cool. Like it still makes me stoked, because it was something that we put a lot of time and energy into, and it was something that we loved, you know.
So, Hatebreed was the big influence, right?
Yeah.
So Hatebreed got you into hardcore?
Yeah.
Did it influence you when you write your music, or is there other bands that
There's
are like...
still like... If I had to
notch?
pick a top 5, they're easily in my top 5 just because of like... It got me into a style of music I didn't know existed, so it's kind of like my gateway of like... Holy crap, there's hundreds of bands that I love because I found
gateway drug
out.
for the straight edge kid.
Yeah, exactly. You want to get high? Yeah. So like I had heard of other bands like when I was younger, and my sister's boyfriend at the time had VHS tapes of like Earth Crisis and like, but it was like a VHS tape, like so you couldn't really like. It wasn't like a good recording because it was like a live concert that looked like crap on someone's like VHS home tape.
Remember they had to like edit the tracking on the VHS
like
too?
there's lines everywhere.
Yeah, like what the hell?
Yeah, so it was hard to like tell what the bands really sounded like, so it's just like, this is kind of weird. Like you see people jumping all over and it's nuts, but like you couldn't get a good, bite on what the band actually sounded like.
Mm-hmm. And how, like... I feel like band chemistry has got to be super important.
Absolutely.
Right? So how do you find the right niche of people? Is it just like testing? Like,
I've been in good bands where it feels awesome and it's fun. And then I've been in bands where you're like, holy crap, why am I here? This is miserable. Like, And like chemistry is huge. Like you have to enjoy who you're in the room with. Same thing with like anything, even like a sport or a hobby. Like anybody can either make it awesome or bring it down, and then you have to be able to write with those people, which is also hard. Like some people are incredible musicians.
I was gonna ask, who writes music? Like is it traditionally the band together? Is it one dude? Is it
like each band I've been in has been a little bit different where sometimes like a guitar player will be like, I have this riff, let's just start playing it and work off this. So we'll just kind of put something together, or like I'll start playing drums along to that riff, and then you kind of just see where it goes. Like so sometimes you'll end up with like a whole song just from freestyling it and being like, this felt totally right. You know what I mean? Where it's like almost effortless. Yeah. And then I've had times where the current band I'm in, the guitar player had some really good drum ideas along with the guitars, so it was like the song was almost written, you know what I mean? Where it was like super easy for me to sit down and be like, I'll just tweak this and this, or I'll tighten up this fill, and then the song's done, you know what I mean? It just felt like it worked really good. And then I've been in bands where it's like, whew, where do we go? Like we got nothing, or like we'll start jamming and just be like, today's a wash, like you got nothing.
Like how many days a week do you practice?
Right now I don't have my drums where I can play all the time. Right. So I do it usually before I'm gonna go down to practice in Pennsylvania. I'll jam at home first, so I don't suck when I get there, and then I'll play there before we play a show. So like right now it's kind of like so I don't get to actually just go play a lot. Like I try to like once a month-ish I'll try and just go play drums by myself to like it's a good outlet still for me to be musical and creative, and it's still fun for me, you know what I mean? Like I love to play music and I love to play drums. I just don't get to with life being busy sometimes.
Right, because you're very much like me. You're very much a doer. Your just agenda's full. When you set up for a show, do you have is your setup like always the same? Like you have everything situated a particular way?
Right now, like sometimes you'll go to a show and they'll say like, we got drums backlined. Like we'll have gear there to show up with breakables. So for drums, it's cymbals, snare and kick pedal usually. So it makes it super easy to just show up and plug your pieces on, but it's almost never how your kit is at home. So it's hard because it doesn't always feel natural in the place it is, or something might be like a lot higher or lower than what you're used to. So it actually does really affect how you play or feel. Like it kind of takes your confidence down a peg where you're like, ooh, this thing's over like a little bit farther than I'm comfortable with, so like if I do this fill, I gotta be like really smooth or faster, you know? Or if like the pieces are set up different. I played a show recently where I got there and it was set up for a left-handed drummer. And I was like, this is going to be a challenge.
Left-handed drummer, huh?
So
I didn't think there was a difference between a left-hander, because you guys play with both hands. I would see guitar because it's flip-flop.
I've seen some people that are left-handed be able to play on a traditional kit, and then I've seen people have to readjust and switch the kit entirely mirrored. So like everything goes on the opposite side. So like when I got there and watched the first band play, I was like, damn, I got a lot of work to do to move this whole thing around in like 5 minutes, you know, where you only get a little bit of time.
I'm such a control freak. I feel like I'd want it to be set up the way I have it at home. Maybe that's too much of my control getting in the way of things.
Well, it's like, it's your comfort, like where you know that that's your best performance. So like, it feels perfect when you have your own stuff. It'd be like showing up to a show and being, you know, like someone hands you a guitar that they tuned and set up themselves, where it's like, you like when you have your own gear and you're accustomed to having your setup, your style, your feel. Like there's so many different pieces of drums that you can buy, you know, that so many different heads that play differently, they sound differently, you know, where even just like having your seat up higher or lower can make you play the drums different, you know what I mean? Or like you're hitting the rim more, or, you know, it just doesn't feel the same.
It kind of changes the flow of everything. I would be so much of a control freak. No, my seat needs to be exactly 3 feet off the ground.
It's hard not to.
Right.
But also, it's not fun to have to bring drums to everything all the time too, you know? So sometimes it's
because drums is the biggest piece. Like that's most of it, right?
It's obnoxious.
How many pieces in a drum kit?
Mine's
like if you break it down and then you get ready to bring it somewhere, how many boxes are you thinking?
Well, I have a 4-piece drum set, but then you have all your hardware, all your cymbals, your sticks, your seat, your pedal. So it ends up being quite a bit of stuff unless you break down everything, and then it's just a lot of time, you know? So it's not, you can break it down pretty small, but then it's just a lot of pieces to have to keep track of at a show when everybody's got their gear everywhere, you know? So it gets to be a little bit too much sometimes.
Too much just to handle all at once. Yeah, that's interesting. Was there one band that you got to perform with that you were like, whoa, I can't believe we're performing with Hatebreed or somebody? Like, who was there, like that one band you're like, oh, I can't believe we get to train, or we get to play with these dudes?
There's been so many good shows with good bands or just like good people, and Hatebreed was the one show that I was like the most stoked ever for, and it ended up being like the funniest flop of a set in my entire life. Like,
why? Because everybody's messing up?
No. So funny, our guitar player broke his guitar while we were playing and had to like sit down on the cab to actually play. I kicked through my bass drum head, which makes it virtually impossible to play drums anymore.
Oh my lord.
And you're on a show with a tour package where they don't want to let you use their gear because they have to tour more. Like, they can't let me break their shit. And
after you just broke yours. Like, nobody in the right mind would be like, yeah, you can borrow mine.
Yeah, here, give your drums to the ogre. Like, you want your stuff broken so you can't tour?
Yeah,
like,
right.
So nobody gave us anything. And it was like my dream show. I'm like, I get to play with my favorite band. And then
Who was it? Who was your favorite band?
Hatebreed.
Oh, you got to play with Hatebreed.
So we got to play, and then it ended up just being like, oh man, what a mess.
Yeah, right. Just from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Damn. That's cool. Listen, Chris, I don't have anything else for you other than I love the shit out of you. You're a great dude. You're a great positive person. We need more people like you in this world.
I appreciate you.
So thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it, brother.
Heck yeah.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.